Welcome to High Strangeness in Alaska. It's been 4 months now. Every Sunday I've been doing a Bigfoot video or a paranormal video, but really excited about it. And I have been getting a lot of feedback from you guys, and I really appreciate it. Joe Morrow, every Sunday, he sits all his kids down for their Sunday morning Chuke cartoon Bigfoot goodness, and I really appreciate it. It keeps me going. I'm going to do a interdimensional Bigfoot video just for him. He loves that subject. But thank you to everyone. I've been having a blast, especially connecting with Beans Baxter and Rob Roy Menzies. I'm also going to connect with Subarctic Sasquatch guy too pretty soon. So really happy. It is raining out here in Bigfoot country, so I had to kind of go under the tree canopy, but what a great environment to contemplate life and what is possibly out there. So I know I normally do a Bigfoot video, but I also like to talk about cryptids and other things. So we're going to talk about the UFO connection today. Not necessarily with Bigfoot, but it is interesting that there are a percentage of cases where we do get Bigfoot involved sightings. So it's super interesting that I would say maybe 2% get kind of weird. And I was talking to Patrick the other day, and he was talking about orbs. A lot of people will see basketball size orbs, red, green, blue, that type of color. And then right after that, see a UFO. So it's pretty interesting. And so I wanted to check in with Rob Roy Menzies and Beans Baxter. Let's make a little s'more here. But I also had my own sighting of a UFO just 2 weeks ago, driving down to Homer to meet up with Beans. And it's weird. Once you kind of stay in tune to this kind of stuff, it just... I don't know, you just start noticing things more. I wish I would have stopped a couple more times. I was in a rush because I had to get down to the boat to meet my buddy, put the boat in the water, and then, you know, we were going to go, you know, out across the bay to do an investigation, so we had limited time. But I did see a couple things. Like at one point I saw some weird lights, always over water. And Patrick has this thing about water. It's always over water, and it's just kind of weird. But at one point I thought I saw, like, yeah, maybe it was just Christmas lights, but it was like these dancing lights over a lake. And of course I was in the mountain pass going through the Chugach Mountains to the Kenai Peninsula. You do go over the highest point, and that's when I had this UFO sighting. Now, I'll be the first to say there's a good chance, you know, maybe it was an airplane. But I still think it's interesting, and I would like to know what it was, because it sure didn't seem like an airplane to me. I can understand that there's refraction and lights play a trick on our eyes, and maybe the airplane's at a certain angle and you're not seeing the flashing lights. But typically I know what an airplane looks like. It will have flashing lights, you know, on the tail and the wings and that kind of thing. Whereas this was way too bright, I felt, to be an airplane. And it was above this mountain. I wish I would have started filming earlier. I also wish I would have had I got the new iPhone 15 Pro Max with the really extra zoom. This was the 14 Pro Max though. Pretty good lens on it, and it does have a zoom, you know, 3x optical zoom that I used. So I wish I would have had a different camera, but that's what I had, the 14 Pro Max. And I wish I would have started filming earlier, because this UFO, you know, that's what it was. I can't identify it. It turned off. It would turn off completely for like 10 seconds at a time and then come back on. When I started filming, it stopped doing that. But I will speed up the speed at the end so you could see it, because it rose. And it was right above this mountain, super bright. I don't think it was a Starlink satellite. It was way out there, but not high enough to be a satellite, and a little too bright to be an airplane. I mean, it was just this brilliant, bright light. And what's interesting is Patrick keeps hearing all these stories about motherships. And I want to interview a psychiatric nurse who's worked in hospitals for over 30 years. She had a sighting in the interior where she saw a mothership. Now, when people see these motherships, very common in Alaska, they're either the size of 1 or 2 football fields, or they're like a mile in length and just massive with lights on them, obviously a spacecraft. And the biggest story, I think, of all UFO lore sightings, you know, besides the latest stuff, the Nimitz and the Tic Tac and that kind of thing, was the Japan Airlines 1625, is in 1987. Just amazing. And it's all documented in Saucers of the North by Jessie Desmond. I really recommend this book. She actually hosts the Bigfoot big extravaganza meetup in Fairbanks every other year. I won't be able to go this summer, but the next summer. So it was Japan Airlines 1628, that's the flight. And it happened in November 17th, 1986. And so what makes this the greatest UFO story of all time, just about, is not only did the airplane radar pick it up, but military radar on the ground picked it up, several references of that, and the FAA's radar on the ground picked it up. And then you had the pilot and the co-pilot. They were, you know, taking this cargo plane from France with bottles of wine, and they both, you know, eyesight. They both saw it with their own eyes, corroborated by radar, and it was this giant glowing tortoise-looking UFO that was a mothership. The other little ones were going up in it. They were messing with the airplane and the pilots, and this mothership was positioned itself in front of their airplane. They actually had like weird radiation burns on their face from, oh boy, having some excitement here. The water is splashing in the thing, so hopefully we don't get Bigfoot burned here. So anyways, that's amazing. Something about Alaska and these motherships. Oh, that's so good. I hope this doesn't get a Bigfoot to come out here. Or a bear. I'm way out in the middle of nowhere. But something about these motherships in Alaska. And I don't know if what I saw was a mothership, but it looked big and really bright, brilliant light way out there. It looked like it had to be big. The stars were just coming out, way brighter than a star. So let's just roll the footage. Here it is. It was about 1 minute and 23 seconds of footage I took. I was watching it for a while, and it would turn off and disappear, and then would come back on. And I was just like, what the heck is that? There's no blinking lights on it. It's acting all weird. And then I just couldn't help it anymore, even though I was in a rush. I pulled over, pulled out the phone, put it on 3x optical zoom, and this is the footage you are seeing now. Now, I showed this to Patrick, and he thought it was weird. He couldn't explain it. He personally felt it was a UFO. And for those of you don't know Patrick, he's the guy I interviewed on the Hairy Man of Western Alaska episode that is just a wealth of knowledge of, you know, Bigfoot and paranormal and that kind of thing. Sorry, I'm munching here. So as you can see, it's slowly moving. And at the very end, I'm going to speed it up. All right, let's stop here, and we'll check in with Rob Roy and Beans Baxter. So we're talking about the paranormal connection with Bigfoot, and you mentioned a new story about the flash of light. Can you tell that story?
Yeah, just this week, a golden gem. A customer came in here. She was native, although she was from California.
Okay.
But she said her sister was in Northern California, I believe it was Northern California, and with a coworker, beautiful day, they decided to stop at a park and walk up this trail they just spotted. Oh, it looks like a nice trail, let's go for a walk. They go about 50 feet up the trail, and apparently both of them witnessed a flash. And then after the flash, there was a 10-foot tall Bigfoot standing about 10 feet away from them, right on the trail.
Oh, man.
And it stood there and looked at them, and they said it just turned around and walked off into the woods. You know, grain of salt.
Yeah.
But I normally don't hear a lot of these stories like that.
It's a smaller percentage,
It
but
is
they
definitely
are there.
because I've heard a lot, and rarely do I hear the flashing or the, you know, the orbs involved or
Right.
whatnot. But it was pretty interesting because she did seem, you know, very sincere about it.
Right.
She told the story very clearly, and I said, "What do you mean a flash?" Like, you know, she said just a flash of light. Like someone took a big flash, and it kind of didn't blind them, but it was a flash of light, and then that thing was standing there. If that's true, I have no idea. I have no idea what these things can do.
So interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting. I tend to want to think, man, let's figure out the Bigfoot thing first.
Yeah.
Before we go into the orbs and things, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. I have an open mind, and I hope that I hear more of these stories because they are kind of they're entertaining at least.
They are. So. Well, if you're ever in South Central Alaska, come out to Palmer. It's kind of a smaller town out here, and come check out the Bigfoot art gallery. There's all kinds of stuff, and he does his own custom artwork and digital artwork and paintings that he has framed here. So come check it out in Palmer, Alaska. And I'm going to throw a link up to his channel because he is on YouTube as well.
Flashlights on in your pocket.
Oh, thanks. That always happens. All right, next topic. I interviewed Rob about this too. So I know this is getting out there, kind of the crazy stuff, but in a small percentage of Bigfoot sightings, there's sometimes a UFO alien connection. Sometimes there's orbs, sometimes there's a UFO sighting, and then somebody sees a Bigfoot that evening. Have you heard any stories like that, or got any theories or ideas about that?
So I haven't had any local sightings, UFO, you know, Bigfoot sightings reported to me. I have had some from other places, one that springs to mind from Canada. But personally, you know, I'm not somebody that really buys into the whole, they call it the woo element, when you start bringing in dimensions and portals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not one to completely dismiss it either.
Sure.
You know, I think if you're going to take the subject seriously, you kind of have to just have an open mind and just take in data and your own experiences and come up with your own conclusions until, you know, some proof is found. Personally, I think probably what happens with a lot of UFO/Bigfoot encounters, if the occupants of UFOs are aliens or interdimensional beings or whatever, and they want to abduct and study us, which you hear so much about. You know, the abduction phenomenon is pretty prevalent in the UFO community.
Right.
If they want to take a look at us and study us, well, wouldn't it stand to reason that they would also want to take a look at Bigfoot and study them? So possibly a lot of the UFO/Bigfoot sightings and encounters are maybe Bigfoots that were getting released from being abducted. You know, it's just a theory. It's, you know, who knows?
There's a lot of people that have theories that the aliens somehow engineered the Bigfoot and it's like a missing link, or just all kinds of stuff, but who knows? It's a smaller part of it, and I don't know either way, but I tend to lean towards, I do like the portal theory and interdimensional, but I also believe that it's a flesh and blood animal that's living out there that we haven't discovered.
I've never heard anybody else give this theory. It's kind of something I came up with on my own. But you know, there's a lot of theories out there that every so often there's a cataclysmic event on Earth, and everybody's wiped out. And everything kind of starts over. I think it's supposed to happen about every 12,000 years or something like that, 11,000, 12,000 years.
Right.
And I was just thinking about it one day, and I'm like, well, what if Bigfoot is just kind of the next it's going to be their turn soon. Like eventually, you know, we're coming up on that deadline here, the 11, 12,000 years here, any day now.
Yeah.
Something's going to come along, a cataclysmic event, a virus, something, wipe us all out, and then it's going to be their turn to, you know, adapt and evolve and take over. And just maybe that's the way the Earth stays populated. You know, maybe every few thousand years everything gets wiped clean, and there's always some new type of hominid or some kind of a subspecies of the dominant species waiting in the wings for their turn.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's fun to think about. Okay, about time to put the fire out, but grease fires while making s'mores in the woods while it's raining are bad. Don't do this at home, kids. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that was a UFO? Do you think I'm crazy? That was an airplane? Or do you think it could have been something interesting, unexplained phenomenon? But better go here before well, I can't start a forest fire, it's too wet out here, but burn my face off or something. So I appreciate all of you guys tuning in. You know what, I better make one more s'more while I'm out here and while the fire's going. So I just think Alaska is the perfect place for UFOs. And I've always said that there's something about the ocean especially. Like I did see lights over that lake. I wish I would have stopped. It could have been fireworks, but it looked like weird dancing Christmas lights over a lake. I was just like, I saw it for a split second. It just kind of blocked it out. What the heck was that? And then just kept driving. And then a few minutes later, I saw the UFO over that mountain. It was just so bright and so clear, I had to stop. So, I don't know. It seems like when you tune in and you start looking for these things, that's when you start seeing them. And it's just odd. I can't explain it. And I really feel like I wouldn't have noticed that. Well, I've seen UFOs before, but now I'm like on the lookout. Like I'm outside of town, way out there. I'm looking for stuff like that. So, and something about Alaska, UFOs over the water. You know, that lady in Kachemak Bay, I still want to, you know, find her paintings if she's still alive. I worked at a museum that curated a whole thing of her paintings that were giant glowing discs coming out of Kachemak Bay. That's where I was going. The head of Kachemak Bay especially is a hot spot for UFOs. And a lot of the reports, they're going in and out of the ocean. And that's the reports that the military is getting, these UAPs, or they have a new name for the underwater unknown objects that can go super fast. It's just odd. I'm probably going to burn myself here. So I better stop. Thank you, Joe. Keep watching. Say hi to your kids. And thank you, everyone, for supporting me and tuning in every Sunday for your Alaska Bigfoot and paranormal goodness. Chuke Sunday morning cartoons. I'm going to keep it going, connecting with other investigators, and we're going to have some more expeditions. And I'm just loving it because I'm learning as I go. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you all. If I can figure out how to put this fire out, I better cut. Okay. There's got to be a better way to do this. How many Bigfoot investigators does it take to put out a thing?